Yo, what's good everyone? So with Season 9 finally here, I wanted to make a special video that isn't just a typical stream highlight from my past VODs on Twitch. So in this video, we're going to be covering everything that you need to know about Season 9 and Sea of Thieves. Now in this season, Rare heavily focused on quality of life changes, and it can be a little overwhelming to remember everything that they announced. Be sure to write down everything important to you so you can remember all the details. Alright, so starting with all the shops, they've gone ahead and added Gold Hoarder themed cosmetics in all 3 locations. In the clothing shop, you'll find all these items on the screen, as well as some Season 1 cosmetics that were re-released. There are 2 new cutlasses in the weapon shop, and in the equipment shop, they have items that you can see on screen here as well. Over at the Pirate Emporium, you'll find the Sea Serpent costume, ship collection, and weapon bundle on the homepage. On the sale page, you'll find yourself a free emote called Down the Hatch. Under Captaincy, there's this new Lodestar ship's crest, which is honestly beautiful and worth every penny in my opinion. For pets, under Collector's Pets, they've added the Gold Curse Barbary. In the Pirate section, there is a Sea Serpent Lantern, Enigmatic emote bundle, and another free emote called Hearing Things. If you want to buy everything in this update, it'll cost you $75.91 ancient coins, and with the Plunder Pass, it'll cost you $85.90, which is roughly 72 US dollars. Moving on, we have 2 new accommodations under Bilge Rats called Chests of Fortune. Both of these currently do not go beyond grade 1, but according to Rare, they will be adding more grades and keep exclusive cosmetics tied to them as time goes on. For now, if you turn in 30 Chests of Fortune, which are currently located at the Fort of Fortune, you will unlock the Fates of Fortune figurehead, hull, and sails from the shipwright shop. These need to be purchased, however, and you must turn in the chest to the Gold Hoarders. If you are running a captain ship, you can turn the chest into the Sovereign, and it will count towards your progress as well. Now, if you turn in 30 Reaper chests and or bounties at Reaper's Hideout, you will unlock the Fates of Fortune Cutlass and Flintlock from the weapon shop, which again needs to be purchased. Speaking of Reaper chests and bounties, they now keep the beacon on them at all times, thus making them a little bit more risky when keeping them with you. For settings, Rare has added a handful of new things. Under Gameplay and Input, you will find the option to enable or disable ship sitting and ship trinket interactions, which can be very annoying when left enabled. Under HUD and Milestones, you'll find an Enable, Disable Pirate and Ship milestone option. For video settings, they added a brightness and color contrast slider, but honestly, I advise you not to mess around with these too much because it can get a little wonky pretty fast. Last one, but definitely the most important, under audio settings, they finally separated the sound for hitting a ship from the music volume, and you can now adjust the sound down here. Now, the only bad thing about this is for some reason they added a new sound for when you hit a ship, which sounds very similar to when you actually kill a player with naval combat. It does take a bit to get used to, but regardless, I strongly recommend keeping this all the way up and turning your music volume a bit down. This one isn't settings related, but if you do open up your radial menu and have food out, you'll see that you can now select a specific type of food that you have on your pirate, rather than being stuck with what you first pull out. You can now also stash voyages in the radial menu, which can be very useful for times when you get annoyed with all the bottled voyages that you keep grabbing along the way. Last thing is under My Crew, they have now added a second scuttle option, which will take you to this screen from Season 8 and migrate you into a new server. You will keep all supplies that you are holding on your pirate, but not in your ship. For new items, the Skull of Destiny is a skull that currently can only be obtained through captain voyages that are exclusive to Pirate Legends. These voyages cost 100 doubloons and will take you to a single island to dig up this new skull, which has all 6 Flames of Fate and can be used as a ritual skull to start the For the Dam. There are also 2 other Captain's Voyages for Pirate Legends only. A legendary hunt for black powder for 50 doubloons sends you to a fort and has you dig up baby kegs, firebomb crates, keg of ancient black powder, and more, while a legendary search for cursed treasure for 75 doubloons will send you off to collect the chest of 1,000 grogs, chest of rage, and chest of sorrow. However, there is a new crying chest that cries non-stop, which you can possibly dig up during this voyage, the chest of boundless sorrow. It's worth mentioning that Rare has made these sorrow chests slow down the rate that it fills up your ship with water now. And on the topic of voyages, you can now purchase and hold up to 12 total from the Gold Hoarders, Merchant Alliance, Order of Souls, and or Athena's Fortune. Originally, it was a maximum of 3 total. Rare has added bait crates, which contains 50 of each bait. These crates will spawn on random islands, or you can purchase these from the Merchant Alliance or at any sea post from an NPC who you would sell fish to normally. And speaking of sea post NPCs, we now have a new face over at Steven Spoils who has replaced Merrick, Alderic. The world event for Flamar has made its return to the seas, but this time there is a ghostly green tornado instead of the angry floating skullhead that would never stop yelling at you.
I'm gonna come.
This event will always give you a crate with a single Wraith Ball in it, which can come in handy for certain situations. Now there is less loot when compared to the original event sadly, but I am still glad they added this back to the rotation of world events. Moving forward now are quality of life changes related to the Sea of Thieves world itself. All world events difficulties are now scaled to crew size. In other words, this means the more pirates that are at an event, including other crews, the more enemies that will spawn. Skeletons can now be one-tapped with the Eye of Reach and Flintlock, while the sword will 3-slash them all, with the exception of Ashen Wind skeletons, which are actually 2 slashes. Fort of the Damned has also become significantly easier, with waves always having a single color, and the same rules will apply with weapons to skeletons here. They did add 2 Captain Skeleton waves to it, but they unfortunately do not drop any items when you kill them. The Mega Keg wave still exists as well. When it comes to Grey Marrow, he can now be killed with less than 10 Mega Kegs, which is honestly quite absurd. He can no longer carry a blunderbuss, but now has a sword and can teleport like the Skeleton Lords.
You're good, man. You're good, man.
You just burnt to death. With Fort of Fortune, there are no more Skeleton Lords here, which can make it go by much faster. At regular forts, Skeleton Lords no longer have the blunderbuss either. The Megalodon and Kraken now have an increased chance to spawn. I have heard rumors that the Kraken can now spawn during world events, but I have yet to see proof of that myself, although the trailer for Season 9 did show an Ashen Winds active in the background while the Kraken was active. Let me know if you've seen it in the comments. They've also increased the spawn of the Shroud, aka Fog, and Shipwrecks. All forts now have more ammo crates along with an armory to change your weapons at while on the island. Skelly ships can no longer carry or fire green curse balls. Honestly still annoying to deal with the anchor balls when fighting these guys, but it's a step in the right direction. Cursed mermaid statues are now much easier to destroy and you have a chance to earn up to 3 gems from them now. A flock of seagulls will now fly over players' ship supplies and loot after they've sunk, making it way easier to find after a fight. The harpoon now automatically drops everything onto your ship, making it much smoother and easier to collect loot. This does not apply to enemy ship barrels though. When it comes to selling items, you can now sell the tridents at outposts and Reaper's hideout for a few hundred gold. Fish can now be sold to the Sovereign, but you will earn more gold when selling the fish at sea posts. Emissary flags can also be sold at outposts over by the Reaper emissary table to the caged skeleton. You can now hit the sell button when carrying a collector's chest to sell everything inside, rather than actually dropping it, opening it, and picking up each item to sell. You'll still need to fill up the chest the old-fashioned way, however. For all servers, you can now have a maximum of 6 ships with a maximum of 17 players in all of them. Previously, it was a maximum of 5 ships with 16 total players. Small but nice change. The captain's logbook now tracks every single thing your crew does, from spotting an enemy ship with your spyglass to defeating Grey Marrow, and it'll even track islands you visit by name and time.
Damn.
And finally, the last thing to mention, and certainly a long overdue quality of life change in Sea of Thieves. Red Sea Runner's loot will now spawn just on the outside of the Red Sea instead of staying out of reach to collect. If you're watching this video and you're a Red Sea Runner, you.